Looking to take your financial knowledge to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to Ask Ralph, offering accounting, technical, and financial advice. Whether you're looking to save taxes or improve your business, he's got you covered. Here's your host of Ask Ralph, Ralph Eastup Jr.
Hello and welcome back to the Ask Ralph Show. Today I'm going to cover a topic which has been something in the news as of late. I don't know how many people saw this, but there was an apartment fire in Bear, that's Bear, Delaware, and it affected one of my wife's friends, and I thought it was a great thing to do to talk about renter's insurance. So let's talk about it from a basic standpoint. You know, I'm not an insurance salesperson, I'm not an insurance expert, but I just wanted to give my listeners some ideas about renter's insurance. We're also going to talk about homeowner's insurance and an umbrella insurance policy as well. So make sure you tune in to listen to those things as well. So from a basic standpoint, what is renter's insurance? Well, renter's insurance provides coverage for your lost, damaged, or stolen personal possessions. It also provides coverage for injuries to another person that might occur in your rented home or apartment. So, for example, if someone is hurt in your apartment and the injury is deemed to be your fault, the person can file a liability claim with your insurance company to cover the cost associated with the injury. Now, if the injured person chooses to file a lawsuit against you, then your renter's policy insurance would pay for your legal defense up to certain set limits of the policy. If you don't have this renter's insurance and you were sued based on this liability, these costs would be responsible. You'd be responsible to pay them out of your pocket. So, what does renter's insurance cover? That's really the basic question we need to talk about. And renter's insurance provides financial reimbursement to cover a tenant's lost or damaged possessions as a result of, and here's the big things that it covers: fire, theft, or vandalism. Now, it also covers, as we talked about, a tenant's liability in an event that a visitor is injured on the premises. Whether the renter's insurance or the landlord's insurance pays for the costs associated with an injury will depend on the circumstances of the incident, the location of the premises where the injury occurred, and who's at fault. What they're really talking about here is if you have an apartment building, like a traditional apartment building where you have a door and then you enter into a common area where you go to each of the apartments, you know, it could be that the landlord's coverage would be covered if it happens sort of in the hallway versus whether it happened in the apartment as well. Now, renter's insurance can also provide compensation for alternative living arrangements in the event that your rental unit or rented home becomes uninhabitable due to storm damage or apartment fire. Thus why we're talking about this today. So, how does renter's insurance work? Now, renter's insurance will generally help you pay your costs if you suffer a loss such as a burglary. The amount of compensation you will receive depends on the type of loss and the amount of coverage you have in place. So again, you need to take a look at, what are your coverage limits? And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then it gets into a whole discussion of, actual cash value or replacement cost value. So we'll talk about that shortly as well. So certain items such as jewelry, collectibles, or other valuable items may have a limited value that you're able to claim on this policy. So you may have additional insurance coverages to provide for coverage for loss, theft, or damage. And of course, there's going to be a deductible on this as well. So, there's going to be a certain amount of out of pocket that you're going to have to bear in this case. In the event that a visitor to your home, condo, or apartment is severely injured, that person can file a claim with your insurance company, and your insurance will address the claim. And that's really important because a lot of people who are renters don't think about this, because most of the time, when you purchase a house or you own a house, the mortgage company is really pushing you towards having a homeowner's policy. But when you're a renter, unless your landlord requires it, a lot of times people don't have these. So let's talk about the next obvious question, and that is renter's insurance necessary? Well, here's my simple answer to that. Renter's insurance is necessary if you are renting a home or apartment and want to be sure your valuable possessions are protected from loss, theft, or damage, and it protects you in the event of liability claims as well. Now, you're not required to carry renter's insurance by law, but some landlords can require renter's insurance in your rental agreement in your lease. The key thing to hear is that carrying renter's insurance protects you and the landlord by ensuring that no matter what happens on the premises, either your renter's insurance or the landlord's insurance will provide compensation. Now, why is renter's insurance important? It's important because your possessions are not protected by the landlord's insurance policy. A lot of people think that if they're renting a place, that the landlord's insurance policy is going to cover that. But the landlord insurance covers damage to the building, but does not protect your possessions. And the other big part of this is another good reason to have renter's insurance is for protection against liability claims. The liability portion of your renter's insurance will provide compensation if a visitor to your rented home is injured. And that's a big deal because if you don't have that and someone's injured on your premises, they can sue you personally. Renter's insurance can also cover temporary accommodations in the event that you have to live elsewhere while your rental is being repaired due to fire, smoke, or water damage. So in this particular case of this apartment fire in Bear, I believe there was 24 units that were damaged or destroyed. So these people are all going to be looking for another place to live. So how much does renter's insurance cost? Well, the cost of renter's insurance is actually quite affordable. You can typically expect to pay between $100 and $250 per year on average, depending upon where you live and the coverage amount you carry on the insurance policy. The national average for renter's insurance is between $15 and $30 per month. The best way to find renter's insurance you need is to contact an independent agent. That could be the agent that potentially handles your car insurance. Now, one of the questions I get asked in my practice is renter's insurance tax deductible? And no, it's not tax deductible unless you're operating a business there. And, or if you're an employee and you work in both employer's office and you rented a premises. So now we've talked about some of the basics. Now, how much renter's insurance should I have? Now, you've got to think about there's really three key types of coverage. There's personal property, liability, and additional riders. And these aren't the riders that throw in the back of my motorcycle. Typical personal property is at a minimum of $200 or $2,500 worth of coverage, but you've got to look and see, how much are your personal belongings worth? When you consider the cost of electronic equipment, clothes, jewelry, tools, kitchen gadgets, and other personal items, you probably have far more invested in your personal property than you realize. I just got the new iPhone. I think it's the XS Max. I think it was like $1,300. So if I only had $2,500 worth of coverage in this and then there's a fire in the middle of the night and my iPhone's left there, now you may have other coverage for that. You got to think about that. Now, liability amounts you choose, such as $100,000 of coverage for liability claims and legal defense. Now, there are also additional riders that could be something for like collectibles, personal items of value such as jewelry and outdoor toys such as snowmobiles, ATVs, or personal watercraft. The best way to determine how much insurance you should carry for your personal properties to create an itemized list of your belongings and a replacement cost. It's important to determine how much it would cost to replace each item if it is brand new. And we'll take the last few seconds just talk about that. There are really two types of coverage. There's the actual, and then there is, replacement value. And I will tell you from personal experience, generally it's better to get the replacement value because then you can go out and find, the particular items that you had and find their replacements. Now, the key to all of this is really taking an inventory of what you have, because in the event that there's a fire or some sort of loss, you're going to need to let your insurance company know what you have. What I recommend now that everyone has phones is just go around, your apartment or your rental unit and take pictures and take video of what you have and make sure you store that in some kind of off-premises storage device. So I hope this was helpful talking about renter's insurance. And if you're a renter, I would definitely recommend that you do some more research on this and make sure you're covered in the event of one of these situations.
You've been listening to Ask Ralph, brought to you by Saggio Accounting Plus. Please subscribe to and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a rating and review. Our podcast is produced by Carolyn Peters. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Ask Ralph Media. You can also hear me each week on 1450 WILM and on 1410 WDOV in Delaware and on the iHeartRadio app. Submit your questions or ideas for future shows by sending an email to AskRalph@AskRalph.com.
The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.